Welcome to Kampong Tom, cradle of Pol Pot, the sadly famous Khmer Rouge leader. This is where we meet Chin Met on a journey through history. Enrolled by the Khmer Rouge at the age of 17, she has decided to witness against former Khmer Rouge leaders on trial today.
When I come back to my native village, I feel sad because I've lost all I had here.
Just like her village, Chin Met still bears the marks of that painful era.
My mother was dead. I was brought up by my aunt, and then I was called in to be a Khmer Rouge soldier. When I came home, all my relatives were dead. My uncle, my great-aunt, and the 20 friends who had been enrolled with me.
Chin Met's life changed drastically in 1974 when she was enrolled by the Khmer Rouge along with all the other young people in her village. She didn't yet know she was about to serve a regime of terror which would lead to the death of some 2 million Cambodians, around 1/5 of the country's population. It's in this very school that Chin Met and her fellow female recruits were re-educated by the party to serve the revolution.
They trained us to be tough, not to think about our relatives or our parents. We had to sacrifice everything, including our personal belongings.
Chin Met was then taught how to use weapons. On the battlefield, her female unit was in charge of carrying ammunition and evacuating the wounded. When the Khmer Rouge walked on Phnom Penh in 1975, the women were in charge of cleaning up the houses of those chased from their homes.
When I was cleaning up the people's belongings, I saw dead bodies in the houses. The Khmer Rouge soldiers evacuated the town over 3 days. Everyone had to leave. There were people who didn't want to leave their belongings behind, and old people who didn't want to or couldn't leave their homes. They were killed on the spot.
She was then sent to work in the fields by the Khmer regime.
At first, when we worked in the rice fields, we were well fed. But then we were given only a bit of rice mixed with tree roots, maize, or swamp cabbage. My group started to rebel.
As a result, she was sent to Phnom Penh's infamous Tuol Sleng prison, otherwise known as S21. More than 12,000 people died in this former school turned into a prison camp.
This picture was taken when I was arrested. I was 19. This is my friend from the same village as me. This is another friend. This one was the group leader. They're all dead. I was held captive here. There were 3 of us in here for nearly a month. I could hear the sound of blows and screams coming from upstairs. That's where I was interrogated and tortured. I still have the scars.
She survived the death camp and was sent to work in another camp, S24, which is now a prison. She spent 2 years there, along with women and children, half of whom didn't survive the working conditions.
It was hell, worse than death. I worked the fields, I was tortured. I built dams, I dug dikes. We pulled the cart instead of oxes to plow the fields. My feet were full of sores, my face was covered with skin disease. We were so thin that when we crouched, our knees reached up over our heads.
When the Vietnamese took over Phnom Penh in 1979, the Khmer Rouge forced her to flee to the mountains with them. She was captured by the Vietnamese a year later and then released. After years of silence, Chin Met decided to face up to the past by bearing witness at the trials of former Khmer Rouge leaders. The first opened in 2009. She was the first female survivor to testify against Doik, former head of the S21 and S24 camps.
It takes time to forget past sorrows. I can't forget. Even though the court has condemned former Khmer Rouge leaders, until this day, I haven't forgotten anything.
For a while, Chinmet lived in fear of reprisals from families of those who were put on trial. It's the price to pay, she says, to be rehabilitated as a member of her community and help build a better future for her country. She will be called in to witness again at future trials.
It's important to win the trials against those who are still alive, so that Cambodians and the new generation know the truth about what happened. And it will set an example for today's leaders, so they don't follow in the steps of the Khmer Rouge.
Many Cambodians still bear the weight of history. Join us for the next chapter of our Cambodian edition of Women and War and meet Davi Tit, whose life is spent helping others cope with the past.